and Philippe, Reines, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State for Strategic Communications for Hillary Clinton, now a principal at CKR Solutions. David, I'll start with you right now. There's negotiations ongoing in the Senate. It involves money for Ukraine, it involves money for Israel, but also national border policy is caught up in all this. What do Republicans need to secure in this? What's their red line?
We need to know who's coming across the border, Rich. For more and more Americans, it is now the top issue facing America. And you think about 2 weeks ago when House Homeland Security Chairman Mark Green questioned the administration and the committee questioned the administration. Here's what we learned. The number of folks on the terror watch list trying to come across the border is at a record high. Apprehensions and people getting away are going up. We're closing checkpoints, and it is chaos right now on the border. What Americans want and what House Republicans and Senate Republicans need to fight for is more security to give more help to the Border Patrol to secure the border.
Philippe, you know state well. Secretary of State Antony Blinken was just down there this week in Mexico negotiating with the Mexican government. What's the conversation even revolve around, and how much can Mexico be helpful here?
I think they can be very helpful, but let me start by saying I'm not going to be a caricature Democrat that comes on and says everything is hunky-dory. Those numbers are absolutely appalling. This should not happen. I don't think anyone disagrees with that. More importantly than what I think, President Biden does not think that this is okay. He thinks it's broken, and you cover state. I learned a term at state called the wicked problem, and it's not a 1980s Valley Girl reference. It means things are often intractable, the most difficult of all things to solve. And that's where we are in immigration. To answer your specific question, I would say that, Secretary Blinken is down there and imploring the Mexican government to put more resources into bringing people back. So the number that I caught or that I didn't catch being spoken up until now is 445,000. That's a number of people that have been sent back over the past few months, and that's a rolling number that's going to get bigger. Now, again, there's still a huge gap between 445,000 and the numbers you're saying, but the idea that it's a free-for-all is not entirely accurate, and this is a problem that did not start on January 20th, 2021. You can take this back, forever, but you can go back at least to W. Bush and through Obama and through Trump and through Biden. The problem that we really have is the lack of bipartisan approach to this.
You know, David, you look at what Congress has done, and there has been a fight in Congress about this for decades. Are you going to get to see some bipartisan discussion here beyond just the negotiations that are ongoing right now, which is a very small sliver of immigration policy, or are we going to be in two camps on this thing forever?
We absolutely could have bipartisanship, given now you have the Democratic governor of Arizona screaming about the free-for-all chaos that's occurring, the governor of New York, the mayor of New York City. Every mayor and governor, Democrat, who are dealing with are now finally voicing up that it's this administration's policy, this president's policies that are causing this border chaos that's occurring. And you have Democrats, hopefully, like Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin and John Tester, who will actually stand up as they have in the past and be for strong border security. And we'll find some House Democrats who will be for border security, at least in those states where the Democratic leaders are calling for it.
You know, Philippe, you mentioned you weren't just going to, be your typical Democrat on this issue. And there have been a number of Democrats, mayors in very liberal cities here in New York, in Denver, and Chicago, who are imploring the administration to do something. How much has this issue changed within the Democratic Party over the last few years?
I think it's changed in both parts. I mean, I was thinking before this segment that I remember the Gang of Eight negotiations that actually led to something. And then, but the problem is that think about what happened afterwards. You had people like Marco Rubio, who were part of the Gang of Eight, who had that hung around their neck when they ran for president in 2016. And, the Republicans are not a monolith in this. The House legislation is very much at odds with the Senate Republicans. Yes, there are pockets in the Senate that are for it, but I'm going to be a little corny here, and I'm going to quote Mr. Avella from his 2016 speech to the Republican National Convention where he said the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. He was obviously talking about the Republican Party. I think that needs to apply to everyone here. For people on both sides of both houses, Republicans on both sides of Congress, but particularly the House, to lash this up as a precondition with aid to Ukraine, Taiwan, and Israel is a problem. To answer your question, though, in terms of where it is, you have people, there are elements of what's in the deal now, whether it is increasing the list of third-party countries that people need to have tried to go to first, like Canada is one of them, but Mexico is not. Raising the standard of what someone can say when they have a credible fear, and the parole. And progressives are not happy with that, but the Democrats are yielding on that, on parts of it.